So I've said I'm really excited about everybody, and I truly have been. But since I was introduced to SheEO, I actually got to connect with this incredible person named B. B invented something, and it's actually super important for creating new opportunities for other people. And so I'm so excited for you to see it. It's actually gone viral recently, so I'm really excited for her to share. B is a Dutch architect, humanitarian, and inventor of the A-Linker, the walking bike for an active life. Previously, she managed reconstruction and restoration projects in Kenya, Kosovo, Ethiopia, the Sudan, Indonesia, and Afghanistan. She brings the diversity of her experiences to connect people through design, building a more inclusive global community. Barbara refers to her A-Linker walking bike as a vehicle for social change, and I think you're gonna agree. Let's go. Round of applause, please. Let's go.
I am B. That's also my pronoun, B. It's Barbara in my passport, and people have called me Barbara, Babs, Barb, Barbara, but it never really suited me. I'm just me, I'm B. And when I was a young kid, this picture here of me with a little bear is my first gender victory. I became really aware of that boys and girls were a thing. I didn't fit. I didn't have language for what I felt. But I fought really hard to be on this picture with a bear instead of a doll or a locomotive. That's me there on the for you, right? The names boy, girl, woman, man, they never applied to me. I had no language. And when I fell in love with a woman, I learned the word lesbian, queer, dyke. That wasn't me either. And I met the first transsexual in the Netherlands in 1982. And she challenged me. She teased me. But that wasn't me neither. This is okay with me. So in the time of transgender and gender fluidity and everything, there's all those terms, all those words that link to categories, to segments, and nothing really resonates with me. And why do I have to identify as anything? I'm just me, I'm just B. I never had language for what I felt inside. But in the absence of language, something really special happens. Because in the absence of language, there's no boxes. There's no limiting framework. There's no segments. The conditioning that applies to boys and girls never rubbed off on me because it didn't apply to me. So I was actually free to think the unthinkable. I played music. This brings me to the call-in question of today. What does your life look like in the future that you haven't invented yet? And inventing, oh my God, isn't that the most fascinating thing? Like as a little girl, I was obsessively fascinated by inventing. How do you think of something that doesn't exist yet? How do you invent something that without having the language for it? And in the absence of language, I needed to figure out who I was. So I invented myself. When I was young, people asked me, what do you want to become in life? As if my future is determined by the career path that I'm choosing. Shouldn't the question be who I want to be? Who I want to be in my community? I had no plans, but I had dreams. I had no ambitions, but was driven by values. I had no goals, but had visions of what can be. My life has been a bit of a wild journey with no language for my path, so I had to figure it out. And after high school, I'll give you a little rundown of a few of the things that I've done. After high school, I was an instructor at a therapeutic horseback riding farm. I became a group leader in a resocialization center for extreme problematic drug users. I acted and sung solo in an opera. I was a bassoon player in a rebel dike band in Amsterdam, and I built setups for the ballet and opera in Amsterdam. I taught deaf children carpentry, and I built coffins in Kenya, and I wrote a book in Argentina. I worked with the UN in Darfur, and I rode a camel of the Janjaweed. I've been a photographer with a female MP in Afghanistan, where I also built 300 schools. And I've been a woodwork advisor and restoration architect in Afghanistan and Saudi Arabia. I managed the project of $17 million worth of art glass for Doha, the new airport in Qatar. And oh my God, the times that people called me, "You're all over the place, you have no focus, you're crazy, what's wrong with you? Are you scared of commitment? What's wrong with you, are you crazy?" Imagine I had no language for what I was or who I was, except hearing all these words that did not resonate with me. When people are called crazy, they're either threatening, they're envied, or they're not understood. So now I am the inventor and SheEO of my own company, the Alinker. And the Alinker is a three-wheeled walking bike that I designed not as the next medical solution for a body with a problem, because we are a human being, we have a body, but I designed it to stay active and engaged, to be at eye level and to feel good about yourself. So this is Haruna. She was an exchange student from Japan who came over to Vancouver. This is prototype 4 out of the 14 prototypes that I made. And Haruna wanted to try the Alinker, and she got on and started walking. She's got muscular dystrophy and had never walked in her whole adult life. And she kept telling me, "I feel so tall, I feel so tall." And Haruna taught me that half the people that use wheelchairs can in fact use their legs, but there's nothing designed for them to be active, to use their legs, and to be at eye level. Isn't that crazy? This is Eltje, who I met in New Zealand. And Eltje was a professional bicyclist, a road racer cyclist, until she got a hit and run and had traumatic brain injury and couldn't walk anymore, was actually not to live anymore. But she rehabilitated, found the Alinker, and last year she became number 5 in the Paralympics in Europe. This is Wilco. Wilco is in the Netherlands. He had a massive stroke, was also not to live anymore, defeated, and let alone walk, but he's doing half marathons on the Alinker right now. Young people that break their backs are told by the medical system, "You will never walk again, just get used to the wheelchair." But those people with the Alinker in a fantastic rehab center that we work with in the neighborhood of Miami, those people walk up to 40% again with the Alinker. Never give up, always believe, whatever can be. And then this is really cool. This guy has got cerebral palsy. The one in the middle is the very first person with a disability, an amputee, who ever became Mr. England last year. And the other guy has got muscular dystrophy. All three of them were on the runways of fashion shows, the Mercedes-Benz fashion shows in Los Angeles and Moscow. People were wondering how they could be like them. It changes people's lives as they walk again, regain muscle strength, and feel good about themselves. And in a world where being a specialist is celebrated, generalists are marginalized and even ridiculed. And in the absence of language to describe my life in retrospect, I came up with the word multi-specialist. Because come on, what is that binary thing? We always ask the chicken or the egg. Egg. But look at you, we're all chicks. There's a third category, right? And there's boys and girls, but what about the queerdos? So specialists, generalists, hell no, there's multi-specialist. And the multi-specialist has a few very, very special traits. First of all, we're a threat to the establishment, to the status quo. We learn extremely fast and only what we need. We're extremely adaptable and we have no plan, but we're driven by visions and values. So if you recognize any of those things that people told me all the time, you got no focus, you're all over the place, why don't you, commit yourself to something? Don't let anybody put you down. You might just be one of those multi-specialists. So how do we think about a future that we haven't invented yet? I still have no plans, but dreams, yes. I still have no ambitions, but I'm deeply grounded in my values. I have no goals, but have clear visions of what can be. I have no belief in authority, because I've learned to trust the power of community. I have no faith in changing systems, but know that we can change our perspective. So I'm just B, but I would not be without radical generosity. My path to get here was not a paved path. I had to make it up in the absence of language, and there's freedom in that. Does anybody remember last week, on the red carpet, that Selma Blair announced that she has MS and was walking around with a cane? You remember that? A week after the red carpet, she posted this on Instagram. Yeah. And more than half the people that use the Alinker actually have MS because it's so damn beneficial for them. Selma posted this, and you should look it up on Selma Blair's Instagram. She said, "I am so happy to move at the speed of sound again." And that made me really happy. So, becoming an entrepreneur is not a career path that you're choosing. You become an entrepreneur through building your practices, like edge walking, risk-taking, paradigm shifting, following your heart, your inner truth, and to be congruent. Let go of focusing on problems, but ask yourself, how do you want to live? And then, what does your life look like in a future we have not invented yet? Thank you.
You and I still have to race while you're on that thing. Sounds good. You guys are gonna see me zipping by on my own A-Linker. Okay, so